Welcome to Radio Fixer's channel. Subscribe for upcoming videos. Really, my goal is to create these videos so a brand new person can use the information and be able to get into the hobby. It is really a wonderful hobby and very rewarding to bring back something that totally dead back to life and sing again. This is another phone radio that I purchased many years ago, over 30 years ago, in one of the thrift shop. I believe that time they wanted about $30 for it or so. Not sure how much I paid for it. Of course, those years I didn't know how to repair radio, but I knew how to repair wood. So I went here, I did all the touch-up, paint the cabinet. At that time I finished, but I never put it together. I didn't know how to work in radio chassis. Had some issues. This thing is broken, so I have to fix this. And of course, that time I took it apart. I paint everything, restore everything, and put it just aside. Up to last night, I just pulled it out. I said, you know what? I need to figure out, is this a transistor radio or tube radio, since I put it away many years ago. So there were 4 screws that I removed. Let's take it out to see if it is a transistor or a tube radio. Again, I don't remember. Let me turn it around so you can see other side as well. I had to fix some of this gold color again years ago and spray it with some type of clear coat. Of course, I need to clean it better. And let's take this out. It is a tube radio. As I mentioned, I took this apart over 30 years ago to work on the cabinet. As you can tell, the cabinet all is done. Usually when I work on some things, I try to bring it to as original as possible. Don't ask me why, I just enjoy doing that. Seems somebody add a wire here to run another speaker because they soldered it there, and you can tell it was not professionally soldered. Let's see what other damage this thing has since somebody got to this. Usually when someone start modifying, it's so hard to figure out since there is no schematic in these radios. What I'm going to do, I'm going to go on Antique Radio Forum. I'm going to put a picture of this radio, and I will ask people if they can identify this, if anybody have a schematic. It's very hard to find a schematic for this type of radio. Alright, let's see inside. It seems this resistor is disconnected and the wire here was cut. You see that? Oh yeah, I don't know what they were thinking. This is cut, but soldered is soldered very poorly. Look how they soldered this. That's how you can tell whoever was working on it, they did not know how to solder. My suggestion is first learn how to solder. That is very important. Take some time, try to solder the wires together. Hopefully someday I'm going to make a video show you there are several different ways you can solder it that it hold together for a long time, because soldering is pretty important. Something they call cold soldering. That means if not soldered pretty well, the equipment is not going to work. It seems like everything is here, just I need to figure out how to hook this up. They removed the original electrical cord that I need to figure out how to install it. You see there are something they did here. What is this wire sticking out there? See that? Let's see if I can figure out what this radio is and if there is any schematic available. I promise you, find a schematic for this is going to be very hard, maybe close to impossible. This is on and off, and that is the tuning condenser. Of course, the tuning, you see, is not working. I have to figure everything out, what's going on with this. It's going to be pretty interesting. Hopefully I can fix this, since I restored the cabinet I shared with you a long time ago, maybe over 35 years ago or so. And I'm very amazed this is still hold together pretty well. At that time I didn't want the cabinet to be shiny. The original was not shiny, so I tried to make it as close to original as possible and fix majority of the wood because it had a bunch of cracks. But at least we can say the cabinet is ready. Just I need to work on the chassis. Just want to show you this before we get started. Alright, I guess this is going to be next project. And these two screws need to come out, of course. And this is a little weird, to be honest with you. I take this out. There's a piece of wood here that this is supposed to do on and off. Yeah, by turning this, it turns it on and off. Why they use wood? I have no clue. Let me take the other one out. Same thing. Really interesting. Of course, this is not working. What do you think about this? It's like somebody modified this and put a tube radio inside. I have no clue. Hopefully somebody on Antique Radio Forum can tell me what this radio is all about. Maybe that's the way they design it. Just figure it out. You just need to pull it out like that. This one I pulled out, it pop out. Yeah, that's the way they did it. Really crazy way doing this. Alright, now I can take the chassis out. Just need to turn it around. There's a couple of screws underneath. You see there's one here, one other side. One more here. Let's see if it's gonna come out now. Yeah, it is out. Alright, I put here a Coke can close to this chassis so you see how big this is. It's a little larger than a Coke can. It's crazy how small this is. So the first thing I'm going to do, remove this wire that somebody added to install second speaker. I don't know what they were thinking, to be honest with you. I'm going to remove this. So I'm just going to cut it, then later on I'm going to unsolder it. Yeah, I guess that's what they did. They were trying to put second speaker. Need a magnifying glass to see because this chassis is so small. Okay, that's removed. I'm going to deal with that later. At least they're not touching each other anymore. The way they solder, see this wire was touching here. Again, whoever did this, you know, they were not that familiar how to solder. This vacuum tube, they're all Japanese. Made in Japan. Pretty interesting. All the components, they are American made, as you can tell. But the vacuum tubes, they're all made in Japan. Speaker still is in excellent condition, as you can see. First thing, I'm going to cover this. As I mentioned, every radio, this is the first thing you want to cover, because you don't want to put your finger through the speaker. And finding a speaker like this, it's getting harder and harder to find older speaker, and if you find it, they want some good money for them. One thing I just noticed about this, they actually stamped to the chassis. There's no screw. You see that? Both sides. That's the stamped. I have not seen any radio up to now that they did that. Usually they put the screws so you can replace the speaker. But this was stamped. You see here they add wood as well for the spacing. So manufacturer added those two wood for the volume control and also tuning section because it's the same type of wood. Same type of grain. So that's the way manufacturer did this. Let's see if I can figure this out. Hopefully I can. This is going to be a good challenging project because you have to figure things out. So let's see where the power cord need to be hooked up. I know the positive always goes to switch. The ground or neutral, I need to figure out where to hook that up. Alright, let me take care of this cover. Since I do not have a schematic, I'm gonna document all the location of every tube. See, I already draw all this, where the speaker is and all the tubes. So I'm gonna take one by one and document them. Let's check this one first. Be very gentle with them. Okay, let's see what this is. That's 35W4. Alright, these are all the tubes. I always document them, even if I have a schematic. The reason I document it because I can use back of this page, then I can draw it under the chassis. Of course, this is the top view. If I turn this around, under the chassis view, which I'm going to draw under the chassis as well. Just want to show you, what I did underneath. See, everywhere, like here's a tube. Now I know what tube that is, right? And this is going to be under the chassis. Here I can draw all the parts, all the wires where I actually attached. See, when I turn this around, you see that? So all the tubes are here. Now I'm going to find out the tube pin number, and I'm going to mark it here as well. I'm going to get online. Let's see if I can find anything that has this type of the tubes in those chassis. Maybe over there I can find some information to figure it out. The issue with this is it just has one transformer. Every radio that I worked on, it has two transformer like that. Usually one is RF, another IF. This one has just one. Finding a schematic with one IF, that's going to be tough. Since the design of this radio is all American 5, is a 5 tubes, of course, so maybe I can figure something. See, they cut it here too. They cut all these wires. Why? Anyway, let me figure these things out. As I mentioned earlier, I went here Antique Radio Forum and I put some information there, and I asked the member if they can help me with this radio to identify it. If you go under the forum right here, of course there's a category. There's several different categories. Majority of question goes under electrical or mechanical repair. So here I put some information about the radio. I put a bunch of picture of the radio. I suggest to do that so they can respond to your question. Then here some members start getting back with me, and Gary is just amazing person. He actually, did a lot of research, believe it or not. And he sent me a picture of his radio. He said he has a radio like that, but he cannot find any schematic. And I could not find any schematic myself. That's what I told him. Usually I do a lot of research before I put the question here. If I cannot find the information, then I go here. So people, they can help me out. As you see it, we have a back and forth conversation. He sent me lots of pictures. That is his own radio. He also here, told me about this radio. This is the Master Arts Corporation radio. That this was made in New York in 1965 or so. This radio was made, since it's a tube version, and it just have a one IF the transformer. And a lot of information is sent me. Again, Gary, thank you so much. I could not fix this without you, just be honest with you, because so many wires was cut, some part was missing. Over 14 wires was cut. So it was very hard to figure out without a schematic. Again, Gary, thank you for everything you did. You see our conversation back and forth. I told him all the cuts wire, and where the locations are, and he sent me tons of pictures of his own radio, which actually the chassis matched mine. I think I was lucky, to be honest with you. So anyway, if you have any question, whenever you're stuck in something, if you cannot figure it out, if you did a lot of research and you cannot find the information, go here to Antique Radio Forum, and put information there. There's tons of helpful people. They can get back with you and assist you. Hopefully this is going to help you as well. Alright, let's continue. I measured all this resistor that was cut, and they're all in the range, so I'm going to add some more wires to them since the cutter is too short to be able to solder them. Get a wire like this, just to take the insulation out. I'll turn this around like that to create something they call pigtail, so I can solder it. Now this one just slide right over the other one like that. Use the heat sink. Don't want that much heat goes in the resistor, of course. See, now I can just solder right here. Alright, just need to do this to a few more, then we are done. Let me show you how I remove multi-section electrolytic capacitor. One thing interesting about this radio, see this big hole? Usually the electrolytic capacitor installed right here. But they did not install it that way. What they did, they installed it underneath this type of electrolytic capacitor. Of course, this metal, you know, that right there was stamped into the chassis right here. I were able to drill it, then tap it out. Of course, this is how it looked like. You see that? I drilled just one side. You just need to drill one side, not both. Drill it a little bit. Then get like a nail or something, put it here with a hammer. Just if you hit it with a hammer, it's gonna pop out. But first you have to drill it, alright? That's how I remove this. Red wire is 50 microfarad and green wire is 30 microfarad. They're both 150 volt, as you see that right here. So let's measure it to see if they're still in good condition or not. Believe it or not, sometimes, you know, the electrolytic capacitor or regular paper capacitor like this one, they hold the value for many years. I mean, many years. Some radio, I test them and still they were in perfect condition. So let me test this to see if it's good condition or not. Then I'm going to try to figure out where all this cut-in resistors, capacitor, they cut it. As I mentioned earlier, there's so many of them. There's one right here. You see, it's cut. This one is cut. See that? That is cut. Then there is one other. This one also is cut. You see that? So I need to figure out where all this thing goes. I don't know why they cut it. That doesn't make any sense. I guess they were trying to modify this to do different thing because they solder wire here, as I share with you right here. This is, you know, they solder this. They solder another thing here. I had to remove that. I don't know what they were doing. I had no clue what they were doing. See, you can tell this was soldered here. Somebody soldered this. There was another here when I cut it off. I don't know what they were trying to do. As you saw, they also had wire, the stick here that I had to cut. Alright, let me test all this. Okay, what I did, one side I hooked up to the black wire comes from electrolytic capacitor, another side to the red wire. With this, you actually can read capacitor without disconnecting it. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, really depends. Let's see. The red's supposed to be 50 microfarad. It's not reading that at all. Let me try the other one. Alright, let's try this one. With this one side of capacitor should be disconnected. It shows 28 picofarad. It should be 50 microfarad. Of course, with this one, you have to disconnect one side of the capacitor to be able to use this. With that one, you really don't need to do that, as I mentioned earlier, but sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. You know, with this one at least, I can see it read, but it's very low. So that capacitor is not in great condition. Need to change that one, right? I will stop here to keep this video short. The big question still remains, can this radio be repaired without the schematic? So stay tuned for the next video to find out. At this time, I want to take the opportunity and thank my subscribers with their uplifting comments. You always encourage me to upload more videos, since this is just a hobby of mine. Again, I appreciate you. Enjoy all these videos, and you all have an awesome day. Take care. If you're interested to see more videos like this, feel free to subscribe to my channel, and you will be notified when a new video being uploaded. You have a great day.